point is, right, listen to what it's talking about. It says, from everlasting, I was established. From everlasting, I was established. Now, it's using a personal pronoun there, right? So it's saying that Christ was everlastingly established as a person. So at what point? So no. It says I, not some attribute. It's talking about a personal
all of
pronoun.
God's attributes in the book of Proverbs, God's understanding is personified. Yeah. Wisdom is personified.
Yes.
You understand in Proverbs all of God's attributes.
But we both agree.
Some of these attributes
we agree that
are personified. It doesn't always mean that they are a person, a literal person.
Do you agree that this passage identifies two persons?
It's identifying the wisdom of God, yes, definitely. Yes.
Does it identify the wisdom of God as a person apart from Yahweh?
Jesus claimed to be the wisdom of God, no doubt. And the wisdom of God came forth.
That's not my question.
Coming forth, there's no concept in anyone's language, in the Hebrew or the Greek, in the Septuagint, coming forth is an eternal
That's not my
concept.
That's
Okay,
not
so
my question.
okay,
I'll try again. My question is, and the thing is, you've already agreed on camera. We've already got you saying yes. So I'm just.
All of his attributes are eternal, yes.
That's still not my question.
Okay, what's your question?
My question is, do you agree that this passage identifies two persons?
It personifies wisdom, yes.
Does it identify two persons?
It personifies wisdom. I don't know what more you want me to say.
So
it personifies understanding.
There's a difference between saying a passage personifies someone and saying it identifies another person. If you're saying it identifies another person, what you're saying is it really and truly distinguishes between two people. If you're saying that it only personifies an attribute, then what you're saying is it speaks metaphorically about something that isn't a person. So my question to you, now I've made it clear, is does this passage identify two persons? Yahweh
and the wisdom of God.
And the wisdom of God. Yes, brilliant. So one of those persons is saying that from everlasting I was established. What's your definition of everlasting?
Like I said, all God's attributes are eternal. Wisdom is an attribute of God. Jesus became the wisdom of God. Simple. I don't know how that's not hard to understand.
So does everlasting have a beginning?
No, it doesn't. No. All of God's attributes are eternal. I don't know what more do you want to.
Because what you're saying is a contradiction.
No,
it's a contradiction. Let me explain what the contradiction is. Because on one breath, you're trying to say that the wisdom of God is eternal. It never had a beginning. Jesus Christ is that wisdom. But then in the next, when you say brought forth, do you believe he's created?
Of course.
Right. But that means that he had a beginning in time.
Jesus, yes, of course he did.
But if he had a beginning in time, he's not eternal.
Well, I'm sorry,
that's the contradiction.
Listen, all of God's attributes are eternal. Wisdom is an attribute of God, right? You accept that?
Yes, I believe
that. Thank you. Jesus personified that attribute. What don't you get?
Right.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Thank you.
Yeah. He won't.
Okay, listen. Bro, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Bro,
be honest. Do you understand
what I'm trying to say?
You're talking to me.
Okay. Talk to me.
No, because I might not maybe making sense.
You are not making sense.
Thank you.
Because you are asserting two contradictory things.
Go on.
You are saying in one breath that God's wisdom is eternal and that Jesus Christ is that wisdom. But then in the next breath, you're saying that Jesus Christ is created.
No, I'm not saying that.
Something that is created is not eternal.
I said all of God's attributes are eternal.
Great. And is Jesus that attribute?
No, wisdom is an attribute. Mercy is an attribute.
So is Jesus. Jesus.
So was God? Okay, let me ask you. Was God always merciful from everlasting?
Right. Hold on.
You want to answer this? I guarantee you want to answer
red herring.
It's not a red herring.
It is.
No. So let me ask you something. Was God always merciful from everlasting?
Yes.
He was.
So now,
this guy. Come on, man. Who was God being merciful to?
1 second.
No, who was God being merciful to?
1 second.
No.
1 second.
Bob, this is why I don't want it timed. Because you will run away.
You're going to interrupt. If you're going to interrupt,
you're going to run from the subject.
No. The subject is the logos. I'm not the one trying to change.
I'm talking about all of his. No, I'm talking about all his attributes.
No.
You're using one concept of his attributes.
Shall we just shout over one another? Shall we just have a shouting match?
Go on.
Is that what you want to do? Because I can do that.
Bob,
and I will
you're being disingenuous.
Brother, try to calm yourself. have a conversation or agree to having it timed. Otherwise, I just start shouting over you, and then you'll complain. I don't want to do that. I would like to have a conversation.
No problem.
Okay. So let me just have a look.
Can you answer that question?
One second. So I just want to pull up the verse where everlasting. The Hebrew term for everlasting is miolam. Okay? What does that mean? Right? It means from alam, properly concealed, the vanishing point, generally time out of mind, eternity, frequentatively, right? That's what the Hebrew means. So it means, listen, right? No, it's talking about the wisdom of God. We're still in Proverbs 8.
And mercy as well. That's my point.
Are you listening?
Because you have to be consistent.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since he does not want to have a conversation, I will just have to raise my voice. No, ladies and gentlemen,
I've always
the
had
term miolam means from the vanishing point. It means eternity. Something that is eternal, my friend, does not have a beginning.
Can I ask you a question?
Right. Do you see what happens when you interrupt? Do you want to have a conversation?
Because you are dodging my point. That's why I'm frustrated.
Right.
Who was God being merciful to from everlasting?
Talking about.
No,
talking
you are
about the wisdom
disingenuous.
of God.
Because you know, if
Talking
you
about
answer
the wisdom of God.
that, because if you answer that point, it
Wisdom of
debunks
God.
your point.
No.
That's the only reason why I'm going to
One
mercy.
second.
You're being inconsistent.
No, we're talking
You
about
are.
Proverbs 8, and you're doing the typical Jehovah's Witness trick.
Oh,
of
I'm not a
jumping-
Jehovah's Witness.
I know you're not. But you're doing the typical Jehovah's
Really?
Witness.
Did the Jehovah's Witness say this?
Yes, Jehovah's
never heard
Witnesses
them.
do all the time.
Well, I never got this
that
from
when you
Jehovah's
try to debate a passage, they jump to another passage.
No.
I'm not budging from Proverbs 8. You
Proverbs
took us
8.
there.
So this is my analysis.
Let's stick with
Okay.
Proverbs 8.
So-
And since you have continuously interrupted me, I will finish my point before I stop speaking, and then you can reply.
Okay.
The passage, the word, everlasting, means eternity. Eternity. So my question to you is this. Yeah, I'm talking. My question to you, yeah, you can hold it if you want to. My question to you is, where is the beginning in eternity?
There's no beginning in eternity.
Right. So the passage states, right, and then I'll let you take control of the conversation again.
I really want to get to the book of John.
When it says,
These are semantics.
listen. When it says, I have, who is speaking there?
Wisdom is speaking.
And who is that?
Wisdom of God.
Who is that?
Jesus.
Thank you.
Hey, no, wait. Let me finish.
Go on.
Thank you.
Go on.
Jesus embodies the wisdom of God. That's my point.
He is the wisdom of God.
He embodies the wisdom of God.
So he's not the wisdom of God.
There was a point of time wisdom was brought forth. In the same ways, when I was asking you, and the reason why it's very relevant, if you understand all of God's attributes, you will not be pinpointing on wisdom. And that's what I'm not trying to throw a red herring.
You are.
Mercy is from everlasting. And I'm asking you, Bob, directly, who was God being merciful to from everlasting?
Right. And what we're
Simple
talking
question.
Right. And the thing is, I'm not going to move out of Proverbs because you want to move out.
You don't want to answer it.
No, you have avoided the point that I've made, and I'm going to raise the point again.
I've not avoided it.
You are avoiding the point. You avoided the point.
How?
You avoided the point. Here's the point that I made.
I've explained.
That you just want to avoid,
Okay, go on.
and you're running from it.
I'm
And I
not-
don't blame
I'm
you
not running.
because the passage that you went to contradicts what you
It doesn't.
claim.
It doesn't.
So my question to you
Go on,
is,
Bob.
where is the beginning of an eternal continuum?
All of God's attributes.
That was not the question.
There was no beginning in eternity.
Thank you. So
Yes.
when he says, I was established from eternity, what does that mean?
All of God's attributes are eternal. Let me explain.
The I was.
You're bucking.
Oh, you don't like it though?
I don't mind. I'm just saying.
Right.
I don't mind if you, because sometimes it happens. Sometimes you might want to.
Okay, so don't complain. if
I'm
you
not.
don't
I'm not
want to.
complaining.
Right. You are, because you just said you're interrupting.
I'm just saying that
Go
you're
on.
double standards. That's
Go
all.
on.
I don't mind if
Go
you
on.
interrupt. Sometimes
Right.
you need to pin people down.
Yeah.
It's not a problem at all.
Go on.
The point I'm trying to make is this: all of God's attributes are eternal.
Yeah.
But there are point in times that they are brought forth.
Yeah.
Same with wisdom, same with mercy, same with understanding, and all of God's attributes.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, yes, the wisdom of God was eternal. All God's attributes were eternal.
Right.
Jesus, at a point of time, embodied it when he was brought forth.
Can I reply to that? Right. So I hear what you're saying.
You might not agree.
Right? But there is a contradiction in what you're saying.
Why?
I'm trying to get you to see that. Because something that is created has a beginning. Something that is uncreated has no beginning. It is eternal. And if you're saying that the wisdom of God, as we've seen from Proverbs 8, is eternal, then that means, and you identify that wisdom of God as Jesus Christ, then that means that Jesus Christ is not created. And your contradiction is you're trying to say that Jesus Christ is the wisdom of God and the wisdom of God is eternal, but Jesus Christ is created, but wisdom is not created. That's a contradiction.
You came to me, going to prove to me. You are going to prove to me.
I have been doing that.
So it says it's from everlasting.
Right, yes.
There was a point in time it was brought forth.
From everlasting.
So my
wait. Let's read it.
Okay, go.
Right? Yeah. From let's just go it, and I'll read to the point where it says he brought forth.
Listen, we're not going to agree on this. I'll prefer to get to the meat of the subject,
I know.
which will debunk the Trinity.
We'll change our verse.
No, okay, go on.
We used a passage, it didn't work, we use another passage.
Okay, let the people
I know how
decide.
it works.
Okay, go on.
Right? From everlasting I was established. Okay. Would you agree that sentence is saying that the I that he's speaking is eternal?
Wisdom, is eternal.
And that I, who is that?
Jesus embodied it when he was brought forth.
So Jesus,
he embodied the wisdom of God.
Is Jesus that eternal? Is Jesus that wisdom?
So, if Jesus is saying wisdom existed,
are you? I want to be clear. Are you saying that Jesus
embodied
that wisdom?
Jesus embodied that
so
wisdom.
So he's not the wisdom,
he
or
becomes,
he is the wisdom?
He becomes the wisdom of God.
Right. So that means if he embodies it, if he is that thing of God that is wisdom, then that means he does not have a beginning.
Read it.
Right. Let's keep going. From everlasting I was established, from the beginning, from the earliest times of the earth, when there was no depth, I was brought forth.
Okay.
Right. Now 1 second. Now,
what's the meaning?
Yeah,
you went to the Hebrew. You went to the Hebrew.
I'm going to give
what
it.
does it mean for brought forth?
I'm going to give it.
Thank you. Go on.
I'm going to give it. Oh, do you want the Hebrew as well? Yeah, we'll pull up the Hebrew. But
let's see what it means.
Yeah, let's pull up
and
the
Hebrew. And it will debunk your claim.
No, let's pull it up and then let's look at it. Okay.
There's no eternally coming forth. Doesn't make sense.
If it's before creation, it's before time.
We'll see.
And if it's before time, then it's eternal.
We'll see.
Right. What verse are we in? Proverbs 8? Let's just pull it up. Proverbs 8.
I want to cut Romans 10.
You want to get your Bible out, no? Proverbs 8. Right, so we're looking at 23 and 24. So, the Hebrew, when there was no, I was brought forth. So here's the Hebrew, right? The Hebrew comes from, here we go. It means to bear, to bring forth, to carve, to dance, to drive away, to fall grievously, fear, form, great, grievous, hope, Luke, make, be in pain, origin, or heal, a primitive root properly to twist or to twirl, a circular or spiral manner, specifically to dance, to writhe in pain. That's the Hebrew.
I'm going to get this.
And it comes from jewel.
Let me get this.
Right?
Maybe
Now, where is the sense of beginning and time?
I'm going to check my one.
Right? Now,
let me double check that.
Listen. I was brought forth.
Okay.
Yeah, jewel. Yeah. Now, do you see that the metaphor that we get from Proverbs 8 is that God is doing something akin to dancing. That he's doing something that is within himself, because creation isn't there. In this passage, in verse 24, it's talking about when there were no, right? And that comes from the verb, it comes from the substantive particle of a negation, ayin. And ayin has it from a primitive root meaning to be nothing or not to exist. a non-entity, generally used as a negative particle. So in other words, the passage is saying, listen, because I'm giving you a lesson in Hebrew here.
I'm going to check it for myself.
Listen.
Because I've spoken to Josh about these and he says something different. So.
Listen, when there was no depths, so when there was nothing, I was brought forth. So in other words, before any kind of creation, the Son was begotten. If the Son was begotten before any kind of creation, that must include time, and therefore the Son is eternally begotten. That's what your passage says.
So it's used. It's used 3 times, and every time it says.
What's the word? Sure.
No. How? So you're. I don't know where you've gone.
What are you reading?
This is a Hebrew Interlinear.
Hebrew Interlinear of which word?
Okay, let's go back.
Right.
I was brought forth. Yeah.
I was brought forth.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Which means it's how.
Hawalaleti.
Okay. So let's go to the meaning of it.
Yeah.
So I think you must have pressed the wrong.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So let's go.
No,
so
I
it's
didn't.
not chul. It's not chul.
No, I'll show you. Right. We just need to make sure. You're in verse 24. Yes. Right. Hawalaleti. Look. Yours says hawalaleti, mine says hawalaleti, talking about the same word, right? It comes from the part of speech that so what I didn't make clear is I gave you the transliteration.
Okay.
So I used the word chul, and that's the transliteration of the word hawalaleti, right? So the way you pronounce it in the Hebrew apparently is chul, okay? But what does it mean? It means a primitive root properly to twist or to twirl. There's no sense of time there. But in the rest of verse 24, right, please come with me from your interlinear. Please come with me from your interlinear, the bit where it says, when there was nothing. Right? So that's right at the beginning, when there were no depths.
Sorry, Bob, 1 second.
When it says, when there were no depths, the transliteration is ayin. Yes, ayin. Right?
So it was used in Psalm 51. No, let's understand context.
So you didn't listen to
No, listen, I'm just saying, listen to the context.
I'd like you to respond to what I said.
No, listen to the context.
You're not going to do that.
No, just Bob.
Okay, go on. The context
Psalm
is in
51:5.
No, that's not the context.
No, let's just see what you're saying makes sense.
No, the context is in Proverbs 8. Go to Proverbs 8. That's the context. You just said, let's listen to it in context. The context is in Proverbs 8. Go back to Proverbs 8. Don't do the Jehovah's Witness trick.
Why do you keep saying these things?
Because you're jumping around the passage.
Bob, there's a Hebrew word. You need to see how that same Hebrew word is used in other places. Do you not agree with that?
No, we need to
That's
see
how
how
we do.
we need to see how it is used in its context.
In its context, in other contexts as well.
Let us look how it is used in its context in Proverbs 8.
Come on, I don't know. If it's used in this context, it will
Make
be
your
used.
argument from Psalms. It's irrelevant to Proverbs.
So
8.
Psalms
Go on.
51, verse 5. What does it say? Do you want me to get it up or do you want to get it up?
It's your point. You make it. I'm sticking with Proverbs 8 and I'm not shifting. You wanted to go to Proverbs 8. I'm not.
Did someone get 51:5? Psalm 51:5.
You get it.
Well, this is not a debate. This is about coming to truth.
Why? What? No, it isn't, bro. You're here to score points.
Really?
Yes.
Well, really?
You're not, because the passage is stating very clearly.
Well, why don't you want to see how it's used in other contexts? That's somebody's
in
disingenuous.
This context.
Yes, and we have to use.
We're talking
how
about
that
Proverbs 8. Why are you frightened of Proverbs 8? You were the one that went there.
No problem.
Right, well, let's stay there then.
Okay, so I want to see
Go back to Proverbs 8.
that word brought forth.
Right.
Let's see how it's used
somewhere else
in the Bible. Yeah, why not? Why not?
No, let's see what's being said in Proverbs 8.
You're running from the fact that it's
What am I running from? Proverbs 8?
It's going to expose you.
No, make your point, bro, because it's
So you're saying this word means to dance, yeah?
Look, what did he...
No problem.
No.
That's what you're saying.
Hold on one second. What I said was, because you weren't listening, you were just looking for your next argument. What I said is that its origin is from Kiel, right? Which is pronounced Kiel, which is a primitive root properly to twist, right? Or to whirl, specifically to dance or to rise.
So what translation
Now
do you
its
want?
usage Right? If you're looking for how it can be translated, I'll tell you. It can be translated in some contexts as tremble. It can translate as I was brought forth. It can be translated as I was wounded.
Okay.
It can be translated
So what one do you
it
choose?
will fall violently.
So what do you choose,
I
Bob?
choose it was brought forth.
Okay, so that's my point.
Right? But it was brought forth.
So listen.
One second. The context in verse 24 of Proverbs 8 is in the context of nothing else. Which is why, you asked me, why do I choose this? Because in the context of Proverbs 24, it's in the context of ayin. And ayin means, listen, it's from the origin, the primitive root, meaning to be nothing or not exist, a non-entity, generally used as a negative particle. It can be translated as no, not, and no one, without, none, and not, and nothing, and without, and none, and have no, but no, has no, but no one. Now, one second, I'm not finished. Proverbs 28 says that the Son was brought forth in the context of nothing else. That means that there was no creation, which means that there was no time, which means that it is without beginning.
So this is the context, the same word is used
In a different passage.
David says, behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me, or conceive me, meaning to be brought forth. Yeah.
And what's that got to do with Proverbs 24?
So my point is, there is no eternally being conceived or being brought forth.
So explain this then to me.
It is
Go on.
a contradiction, it's a paradox.
So explain this to me.
There's no eternally coming forth.
See, I don't need to throw contradictions into the Bible to defend myself. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm not.
I want you to explain to me how in verse...
last
No, you
however
haven't.
long-
No, I haven't. All you did is jump to another passage. In verse 24, it says that there was nothing, no depth, and I was brought forth. When it says that there was no depth, and I was brought forth, when there were no springs abounding with water, no springs abounding with water, what is the sense that it is giving there?
Say that again. Go on.
So you weren't listening. Let's try again. So
this,
the
you know what?
passage is saying in verse 24,
Yeah, go on.
there is this context of nothingness,
100%, I agree with
and
that.
then the Son was brought forth.
100%.
Right?
That confirms what Micah 5:2 says.
What does it mean? Are you saying that time existed at this point?
I never said time existed.
Right. So if there is no time, does that mean that we can talk of a beginning?
So Micah says it like this: in the days of eternity, I was brought forth.
In
Literally.
the days of eternity.
So I know it's. I asked Josh about it. You know, the Jewish guy.
We don't care what the Jews say.
Well, this is
Which
their
is
language.
which passage?
Their language.
Micah
5:2.
Micah 5:2. Let's go there.
In most Bibles, it says from everlasting, which is a misleading translation.
Everlasting days. What to you does everlasting days
The
mean?
literal meaning means from the day.
Micah 5:2. Is that what you said? Micah 5:2. Yeah. Micah.
It's your birthday, Bob.
But as for you, Bethlehem Ephrath, too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you one will go forth from me to be a ruler in Israel. His goings forth are from long ago, from the days of eternity. Now let me ask you this question. When is the beginning point of an eternal day?
So there is a point of time. So Alpha and Omega is time as we know it, beginning of creation. Prior to that point in time, how do you describe it?
Right. So the answer to my question is, there is no beginning point to an eternal day. It doesn't have a beginning point. Listen, it doesn't have a beginning point, and it doesn't have an end point. So if Jesus is brought forth from eternal days of old, then that means there's no starting point of him being brought forth. He is eternally begotten of the Father. So now let me ask you again, when is the beginning point of an eternal day? That's my question.
So Bob, this passage, I've done a lot of research on it. I've looked at the Hebrew lexicon, and it literally means a day in the distant past. I'm going to see if I can actually, because I'm sure I actually...
So my question was, when does an eternal day have a beginning? That's the third time I've asked you now. When does an eternal day have a beginning?
Bob,
please answer that.
Okay, so listen to my point. How do you describe time before creation?
There is no time before creation, and so you can't describe...
Okay, so no, you can. Okay, so when were angels? When were angels created?
At a moment in time.
When? Before or after creation?
When they were created. I don't know when they were created.
Thank you.
One second. No, I haven't debunked anything.
Okay.
All I have stated is that angels are created in a moment of time. That is what I stated.
So
that does not contradict. But now I've answered your question. I will insist that you answer my question.
I'm going to answer it.
And I'm answering my question
I'm going to answer
for the fourth time.
No problem.
When does an eternal day have a beginning?
No problem. So this is what the Bible teaches. In Job 38:7, it says, the sons of God, which are angels, rejoiced at the foundations of the world being laid. So my point is, angels were there before creation. So that means they were created before creation. How do you describe that time?
So they were created before the foundations of the world,
yes.
But when they were created, they were a created being.
Okay,
but
so
that
Bob,
doesn't mean
before time began.
One second.
You understand what I'm just saying?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You haven't answered my question.
Okay, go Psalm 38.
No, we're not.
38:7.
No.
Because Scripture explains Scripture.
We're looking at Micah 5:2.
Yep.
And I want you to answer my question. This is now the fifth time I've asked you. I'll ask you
that
again.
Is talking about.
I'll ask you
that
again.
Is talking about a time.
When
tell you.
Does an eternal day have a beginning?
Tell you, Bob.
Answer that, please.
So that is talking about a time before creation. Angels were created before creation. That's why they could rejoice at creation. So I'm asking you, Bob, when were angels created according to the Bible?
Right. So you've not answered my question.
I did answer it. You didn't like the answer. You didn't like the answer.
Coming to Micah 5 verse 2.
Yeah.
Look, I just want to make sure that I've got the right phrase.
Bob, this is not personal, by the way, you know?
No, bro.
I do actually like you know that. I really do like I like the work that you do, seriously.
I like the work that you do, and I wish you would become a Christian. You know,
Oh, Bob, you know what? I used to be where you were.
Usage of the word in the Hebrew. Always. Ancient time anymore. Continuance. Eternal. Everlasting. Long. Of old. Perpetual. At any time.
So Bob, this is what I got.
Compare. Right, listen.
This is what I was looking for.
How can it be translated? Forever.
Okay.
Ever.
Bob.
Everlasting.
Bob.
Perpetual. Forevermore.
This is a Hebrew exegesis of Micah 5:2.
And an everlasting. Old, ancient, from everlasting. Ever, never, shall never, and ancient, from of old. So what we've got is the second passage that he goes to demonstrates that Christ has an eternal going forth from the Father that is everlasting and eternal. I literally read the Hebrew to you. Literally read the Hebrew to you.
This is the exegesis.
Oh, whose exegesis? Whose exegesis?
Hebrew linguist.
Whose exegesis?
This is not a Unitarian, by the way. No, this is the Hebrew linguist. Okay, read it. If you reject it, fine. No problem.
No
problem.
What I've given you is what the word says.
Okay, so this is exegesis.
I want you to deal with this point.
This is
the word means without beginning. The word means without beginning.
What word?
You see, you don't listen. You're so busy interrupting. I'm not repeating myself. You should have listened. You should have listened. You should have listened.
Don't be like that. Come on.
You should have listened. You were too busy interrupting.
You're too. This is not a way to debate.
Well, this is where you shouldn't interrupt. Then this is the problem with people: is they interrupt, and then when I don't jump through the hoops, they complain.
No.
What I said to you, if you had been,
if I said something,
you're not listening now.
No. If I said something,
ladies and gentlemen, what we saw in the Old Testament is that the second passage that he went to,
it doesn't.
In Micah 5:2, states that the word describing the Son's going forth is from everlasting, and that can also be translated as forever. So my question to the Unitarian is a simple one. When is the beginning of forever?
Well, first of all, you didn't answer my question when it came to mercy, right? Two, and you didn't answer my question, when were the angels created?
So you're not going to answer this question then?
Okay, I'm going to give you, I wanted to exegete what verse says.
So that was not my question. My question was, when does forever begin?
Bob, you're misrepresenting what the text says.
Am I?
You are. So why do you want me to exegete it?
One second.
Bob,
what does it say?
You're better than this. Bob, you're better than this.
One second.
Let somebody exegete it.
You're complaining.
And then you can
Look, you're
disagree.
interrupting constantly, and then you're appealing to respect.
You into it, and I don't complain.
Right, but that's the point. If you're going to interrupt me constantly, then all I do is do that. I warned you that this is how the conversation would go.
Listen.
I offered you to do it time.
As you say, I'm not your dimmy. You're not warning me. You're not my elder, so don't talk to me like that. Be respectful, Bob.
Try that.
Be respectful.
Try that.
I am respectful.
Too little to be among the clans of Judah.
Bob, watch all of my debates. I never get irate like this. There must be something about you that make people irate. Bob, come on, you're better than that.
He's going forth. It's from
going forth.
ago.
Thank you. Going
from
forth.
the days of eternity.
Okay, so
now let's
we
go back
exegete it
to the Hebrew.
So let's
go back. He's not a Christian.
He's not a Christian.
He's not a Christian. He's a Unitarian.
No, actually, I would say he's a Christian. No. I would say he's a Christian. Sorry. He's a Christian. He's just creating sideshow. Bob, but the reason why I say you're not a Christian, you know what the danger is? The same judgment.
So what it says, look, the term, the word. No,
I'm getting a linguist.
No, you don't.
Bob, you said you've read this again. How many times do you want to read it to me?
Because until you
let me respond.
Listen.
This is my response. Bob, this is my response.
Listen.
Bob, you want me to respond?
Listen.
And I'll give you my response, and you want to give me a...
Listen. So what it says Olam, right? Now, the way that are you listening? You see, you're not listening again.
I'm going to respond.
Listen. The usage of the word is always, it's eternal. It means anymore, continuance. It can be translated as forever, ever, everlasting, perpetual, forevermore. Given that that is what the word means, I will ask you again, and this time I would like you to answer the question. Not ask another question. Answer the question.
I'm going to exegete.
When is the beginning of forever?
I'm going to exegete the text.
So go on.
According to a Hebrew linguist. Okay.
Right. So go on.
Whether you reject it.
Let's hear the answer to the question.
So it's exegeting this text. Okay.
Who's exegeting?
A Hebrew linguist.
Who?
Okay, I'll get you the source. Whether you reject it, that's fine.
Fair enough.
So it says, generally, also eternity, from men's viewpoint, could be included into the well-established concept of indistinctness, because we humans cannot understand or simply imagine fully what indicates a time without a start and or an end. Nevertheless, there are other situations of indistinctiveness that are not linked with eternity necessarily.
Right. So can we see the website? What's the source of this website?
You know what
Sorry.
I did? What I did, screenshotted it. Yeah.
Screenshot.
Can you find it for me?
No, I don't know which one it is, bro. I think it was that one.
No, not that one.
Was it not that one?
Because there's a few.
Right. Okay. But the point. Just going. While you find it, what you've quoted there, right, is just something that raises.
Listen, Bob.
No,
you don't have to accept it. I'm just giving you.
See, you're not even listening to what I've got to say. I'm actually responding to your quote, and you're still not listening. And this is my point. You can't appeal for respect if you're going to do that. Now, what you stated is someone you claimed was a linguist. For all I know, that could just be a Jehovah's Witness website. But let's assume that it is a linguist. All that the linguist
Can I have a print? Okay, we've got it back. Can we carry on reading it?
All the linguists
Bob, you don't let me respond.
All the linguists stated.
Bob, I was reading it.
I'm alright. All the linguists stated.
Bob, you didn't let me finish. You haven't let me finish.
No, let me finish. All the linguists stated there.
You haven't let me finish.
All the linguists stated there.
When I respond,
is
you
a possibility. And you're not doing that all the time.
No, but don't complain then.
I'm not complaining. But the point is you complain.
I'm not complaining.
Go on.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to make this point.
Go on.
That all your linguists, if he is even a linguist, has stated,
I'll get the source anyway, don't worry.
all that he has done is say that in some context it doesn't mean eternity. That doesn't mean in all contexts.
No problem.
Doesn't mean in every context, and it doesn't mean specifically
Okay.
in this context.
Finish it and then respond.
Go on.
Okay, thank you. There's a few more pages anyway.
And we're not doing pages, bro.
No, there's only about 3 pages. Come
We're
on.
not doing 3 pages.
Oh, look how big the pages. Come
We're
on.
not doing 3 pages, bro.
It's 1, 2, and that's it.
No,
Come on.
bro, we're not doing 3 pages.
Bob, do you want
because-
truth? It's about
no,
truth.
I don't. Here's what I want. Here's what I want.
Bob, do you really want truth?
No, what I want, bro.
Come on.
No, bro. What I want is for you.
I'm saying you're in error
Yeah,
with this passage.
and I'm saying, bro,
and I'm
you're
saying
not
that,
Christian.
Bob, you can say what you want at the end of the day.
And I want
You're
you
not
to
my
become a
judge.
Christian.
You're not my judge.
Right?
Yeah.
Now,
And the
remember-
same judgment that you judge
Remember-
me, that judgment's going to be
Bro,
placed on you.
finish your quote from this
thank
language.
you.
We're not doing 3 pages now.
It's
Because we're discussing.
I'm responding to this passage.
Right. Does this passage? Sorry. Does
Let me
this linguist?
finish it,
1 second.
please.
Does this linguist identify Micah 5:2 as the point he's talking about?
But you let me read it, and then you can respond. I don't know.
No, I want you to answer that question. Does this?
Yes, it will do. It will do.
It will do.
Yes.
Right. Can we
Thank
go
you.
to that bit then? Let's go to that bit.
Okay, so
Let's go to that bit.
to give context, because if I just go to its conclusion,
bro, listen.
Bob, this is about truth. It's not about just a quick.
No, this is about you trying to win an argument.
No.
It's not about truth for you. You believe you have the truth. You're in error.
You
and
believe
you're
you have truth. I believe I have truth.
Yes.
So one of us are wrong.
Yes.
So in order for us to establish who's wrong,
Right.
let me make my claim, make my case. If you want to make your case and take 1 hour,
But
I
you
would
know,
listen.
right,
I promise you, I would listen.
but you aren't responding to my point. So come to the
thank
bit.
you.
Come to the bit
So I'm
that
responding
responds
to-
to what I've just said.
Micah 5:2.
Let's go to the Micah bit, please.
Okay, so for example, no. So do you know what context? No.
No, let's go to Micah bit. We're talking about Micah, so go to the Micah bit.
Okay, so then it goes. So returning to Micah 5:1, Septuagint translates in the Hebrew term olem with that word.
Yeah.
That, strangely enough, has the same meaning for one example, the epoch
Yeah.
mentioned in Matthew 24:3
Yeah. Yeah.
and 28:20.
Yeah.
Had a start.
Go on.
And according Jesus Christ
Yep.
will have an end also.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the word that the Septuagint
Yes.
translates it. The very same word
Do you accept
has
the
a start.
Septuagint?
Of course, 100%.
Okay, fair enough. I just needed to make sure. Yeah.
Probably from olem derived
Yeah.
a number of words that were utilized in the past.
Yes.
But we also are using some of these derivative words.
Right.
For example, Latin language had.
Can I reply to that bit now?
Let me just see the last. Now this is the bit.
Go on.
So, in view of the information above presented, the ruler cited by Micah had a time start.
Right.
We may understand so on the basis of the Masoretic verbal used there to go out, to go forth, to spring up. And that implies necessarily and not an action that starts on a given time point.
Right.
So the Micah's ruler
Yep.
must possess a beginning.
Right. So now let me respond to that.
So
Let me
this is a
respond to that.
linguist.
No.
Okay.
No.
I will get the source.
This
no
is a
problem.
screenshot.
Of course.
But I'm willing to give it you
Yes.
that he is a linguist,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
However, he is a linguist doesn't mean that he is the final authority on this.
100%
Do
I
you
agree.
not think that we Trinitarians have linguists? Do you not think that we Trinitarians have linguists who's looked at this passage?
If we go to John,
My point to you is,
yes,
no,
Trinitarians are
allow
liars.
me to reply.
Trinitarian lie on the
Allow
Bible,
me to
100%.
reply. Allow me to
go
reply.
on.
Now you have just said that Christian linguists lie. Well,
On
now
John,
I just
in
now
John.
I just say that your linguist is lying.
Okay,
Now
we'll
I
see.
just say your
We'll see
linguist
in
is
John.
lying.
We'll see in John.
Now I just say your linguist is lying.
Okay, in
And
John.
here's the point. Here's the point. Here's the point. That your linguist, even at the very beginning of your quote, stated that this is a possibility. That it isn't necessarily in every case.
contextually-
I know, and then he makes the argument.
Contextually-
he makes the argument
Yeah.
that that is applied to Micah 5:2. I simply disagree.
Oh, okay.
I
So
simply
you know
disagree.
better than the Hebrew linguist. No
I
problem.
know.
And also, I asked Josh
I know,
as well.
I know.
But that-
I
he's
know,
not an authority.
I know.
Okay, go on.
I know that Christians have linguists as well.
Let's go
And
to
I would
John.
be interested
Let's
to
go
see
to
what
John
a
and we'll see
linguist
how
says.
the Trinitarians
No.
have lied on the book of
Because
John.
I want you to deal with my point.
Okay, go on.
The question that I asked.
Yeah.
The word
Yeah.
in Micah 5:2.
Had a beginning.
Listen,
according to
listen. You will do better if you listen.
Go on, Bob.
It says from the days of eternity. That word there is talking about something that is forever, eternal. doesn't have a beginning. So my question to you is a simple one. When does forever, where is the beginning of forever? And I would like you to answer that.
Disingenuous.
Are you going to answer that
I
question?
gave you the exegete.
No, you
of
didn't.
what okay.
You gave me a linguist's opinion. And opinions are like belly
Who knows
buttons.
better than you, right?
No. 1 second. One, we haven't even established
No
who's
problem.
speaking.
Granted.
For all I know, that could be a Jehovah's Witness
No problem.
website.
Okay.
Right? You need to bring who he is.
No problem. So
right?
let's- okay,
and then
so-
I'll bring
so what
my
we do-
linguist.
thank you. So what we
and then
do-
what we'll establish is that opinions are like belly buttons among scholars. Everybody's got one, but you still have not actually answered my question. And my question for the last time, before we move on, my question for the last time is, when is the beginning of forever?
So, based on the context,
Where in this context? Jovi?
so what I've just read to you,
No. You read a linguist. Where in this context?
in the days of eternity,
Yes.
the going forth.
When do they have a beginning?
Okay, so that's why I asked you, when were angels created?
Right.
You can't answer it, can you?
Because I don't know when angels were created.
They were created before
Were
this
they
creation.
created? Were they
Before-
created?
Angels weren't creation.
Were they created?
Angels eternal, is that what you're telling me?
Right. No, 1 second. 1 second. So, you're saying that Jesus Christ is created like the angels.
Yeah, of course he's created, yes.
So
that's what firstborn means. That's what beginning of creation of God.
No. Firstborn does not mean that.
It doesn't.
No. Firstborn in the term of Colossians. In the term of Colossians,
Doesn't mean
firstborn-
preeminence. Doesn't mean
yes, it
preeminence.
does.
No, it doesn't.
It's
Okay.
the
I'll prove.
entirety of the
I'll
context.
prove to you.
Let's
It
come
is.
to
It doesn't.
Colossians.
So let me ask you this question, Bob.
Let's come to the
Can I ask you
Colossians.
this question? Who was God's firstborn?
Right, bro.
No. Can I ask you this? Who was God's firstborn?
Listen to me.
No, Bob. I'm asking you a question.
Yeah.
Who was God's
Listen
firstborn?
to me. Listen to me.
You're gonna, as long as you answer, because I've asked you over 3-4 questions that you haven't responded to.
Listen to me.
And yet you keep asking me questions because saying that I haven't responded.
The
when
reason
I have.
that you haven't. You've not answered a single
Well, you haven't
question
answered any of mine.
because I don't need to answer questions to someone who's not answering questions.
Well, then fine. then.
So you start answering questions and I'll start answering.
Okay, so what did I not answer?
Right, let's come to Colossians. The people.
No. We're not going there. I'm asking
no.
you. I'm asking you a
Let's come
question.
to Colossians.
No.
You just lied about the Bible.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you
No,
have.
I haven't. So
You
let me.
you said that firstborn is not about preeminence.
That's what you think it means.
That's again. You said I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are wrong.
So let's
Okay,
look
no.
at Colossians
So let me,
in context.
Can I ask you a question?
No, well,
let
one
me
second.
ask you a question first.
No, I'm going to read the
I want to
passage.
ask you a question first.
Right. Do you want to do this timed?
Bob, I want to ask you a question.
Do you want to do this time?
You come here and you don't
Go on,
ask
ask
a
your
question.
questions and then I'll read Colossians.
Thank you.
Go on, ask a
Why
question.
does it have to be so hard, Bob?
Because
Really? Why?
you're making it hard.
No, I'm asking you a simple question.
No, you're not.
Who-
All you're doing is talking over me constantly,
so-
interrupting,
no
not
problem.
answering questions,
I am.
and
Bob, calm
jumping
down,
from
calm down.
passage to
Seriously.
passage.
Bob, I
no
seriously-
one is upset.
Bob, I love you.
No one is
seriously. I've got
upset.
so much stuff for you.
No one is upset.
And you know, I love the passion.
Right, but you see, like this, I offered you the timing, and you
No,
should.
I don't want time.
So ask your question, and then I'll read Colossians.
Okay, so
What's your
Bob-
question?
Who was God's firstborn?
Right. So now let me read the passage.
You're not answering.
I'm going to. I
I'm
will.
asking you,
I'm
who
going
was
to.
God's first
Right,
creation?
So the passage,
No, I'm
ladies
not.
and gentlemen.
Bob, why don't you answer the
He
question?
is the image of the invisible God,
Bob.
the firstborn
Bob, be
of all
honest.
creation.
What does that mean?
For by him all
No, by
things were
it
created.
doesn't mean. It doesn't say by. It doesn't say by.
Please don't tap my Bible
No,
like that. Please don't.
by.
tap
It doesn't say by.
Listen,
Bob,
listen.
go.
For by him
No,
all
within
things
him.
were
Within him.
created,
Bob, go to the Greek.
both in the heavens
Go to the Greek.
and on the earth,
Your Bible's
visible
mistranslated
and
it.
invisible. Whether, and this is the bit that demonstrates that firstborn is about preeminence.
No, it doesn't.
Because listen to the context. Whether thrones or dominions, or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things.
Bob, it doesn't
In
say by
him, all things hold together. He is also the head of the body, the church, and he is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he himself will come to have first place in everything.
Okay.
So the context of the passage is saying that Christ is the firstborn. But when you listen to what it means by firstborn, it's talking about in preeminence. And how do we know that?
Yeah, he is the
Because
preeminence.
he is preeminent over all dominions and powers.
I agree, he is preeminent.
He is preeminent over the church.
But the
he
term-
is preeminent amongst those
Bob,
who have
engage.
been
Bob,
raised
engage,
from
engage.
the dead.
Bob, engage.
And what we see, ladies and gentlemen,
Bob,
is
engage.
that others were raised from the dead before Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ is the first in preeminence over them.
Bob.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies
respond.
and gentlemen, the point that I'm going to just speak to them because you're not listening. Ladies and gentlemen,
Bob, you don't dialogue.
The Unitarian is saying that this doesn't mean preeminence. The only way he can sustain that argument.
He is.
Oh, he does.
No, listen.
Oh, he does.
Let me respond, Bob.
Oh, he does.
Bob, engage.
Thank
Come on.
you.
This is not the way to do a debate. Come on.
Bro, stop interrupting.
I deal
You'll
with
get
Muslims.
better at
Listen, I deal
You'll
with
get
Muslims,
more out of me when you stop
and they're
interrupting.
more civilized than you.
Brilliant. You'll get more out of me when you stop interrupting.
No, I'm not interrupting.
You have constantly interrupted,
Bob,
bro.
you're
Constantly.
saying things. So you just said,
So answer the question.
So listen.
So deal with the passage.
Okay, Bob,
I've made the case that it's about preeminence. So reply.
Okay.
Go on.
So it says by him, yeah? Do you think it means by him?
That's not the question.
Okay. So
what
do
we're
you not?
talking
Okay,
about
Bob, let me
is the
respond.
passage demonstrates
Bob,
Christ
let
is
me
preeminent. Respond to that. Go on.
Okay, let me respond. So it
Make your argument.
In the Greek, it doesn't say by him. It's a mistranslation. It says in him. Are you aware of that?
Deal with the argument.
No, I'm just asking
made.
you. You just read the whole passage.
Deal with the argument then.
And I'm going to deal with the whole
Right,
passage.
deal with the argument.
So, are you aware it doesn't say by him in the Greek?
Deal with the argument.
I'm responding to your...
Well, go on then.
Okay, I'm asking you a question.
Right, so, ladies and gentlemen...
Bob, are you not going to answer any question?
I want you to deal with the argument I've just
but I'm
made. So
asking
go
you a
for
question.
it. Go for it.
Are you aware...
Are you going to make your argument or not?
I'm going to respond to the passage.
Right, make your argument then.
Okay, so are you aware...
Go on.
In the Greek, it doesn't say by him. Are you aware of that? Yes or no?
Make your argument.
I'm asking... Bob.
I'm waiting for you to make
No,
your
I'm
argument.
asking you a question.
Right, I'll tell you.
Bob, no time, no. Because, Bob, I'm asking... You don't... The reason why you don't want time, because you don't want me to pin you down. And that's why I don't want it time. I'm asking you a question, and you say make your point. How does that make sense? I'm asking you a question, respond, or just say you're not going to respond. Simple
I'm not
as
going to
that.
respond. Make your argument.
So what's the point of us dialoguing if you're not going to answer my
We've
question?
not been dialoguing at any point in this conversation. You have interrupted me continuously.
Bob,
You
you've
ignored
interrupted
my
me.
questions.
You've
you
not
jumped
answered any of
around
my
passages.
questions as well.
Right, so stop complaining and make your argument.
I'm asking you a question. You're not
Are you going to make your argument?
I'm asking you a question, you're not going to answer them.
Correct. Now make your argument.
So what's the point in us?
So make your argument.
Okay. So
From the passage.
So who was God's firstborn?
Make your argument.
Okay. So in the Old Testament, yeah, there were about 132 times firstborn is used.
Right, go on.
Yeah? 132 times.
Yeah.
What's your understanding of the term firstborn in the Old Testament?
Right. So once again, my Unitarian friend has jumped away
No,
from the passage.
I'm not. No.
I've made an argument from the passage.
What's the argument you made?
And what the passage
Okay, what's the argument?
actually
What do you want me to
states-
respond to, Bob?
What
What do you want me to respond to?
And notice is interrupting.
No, what do you want me to respond to?
The passage clearly demonstrates that firstborn is about preeminence. And how do we know that it's about preeminence? By reading the passage in full. What does it say? It says that Christ is the head over every dominion and power. Christ is the head of the church. That he is the firstborn of the dead. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these examples from the passage are about priority, about headship, about preeminence.
Just a claim.
And in the Roman world, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of firstborn was a legal term. If you didn't like your genetically firstborn son,
This is not a debate.
you would reject them and you would adopt a son and you would declare him your firstborn, meaning that he would inherit all that was yours.
Do you think he's been honest
Ladies
in
and
this
gentlemen,
debate? Honestly.
and the epistles are using that term. And my friend, he has ignored the argument and he hasn't responded. So now let's give him a chance to respond the argument. Would you like to respond to the
So,
argument?
Bob,
I've made it again.
Let's give it a
Bob,
chance.
you just read a passage,
Yep.
and I want to dissect the passage.
Right.
Okay.
So respond to the argument. Go on.
Okay.
I'm
So
listening.
your argument is saying that this means he's preeminent.
Yes.
I agree. The
Great.
firstborn,
Fantastic.
by the fact that you are the firstborn, you are the preeminent one, right? We agree with that. But my point is, Jesus was the firstborn over all creation, which contextually means, which contextually means he was the first that was
was the first?
Yeah. So listen, my point is,
Go on. Finish your point.
contextually, firstborn in the first century had a meaning.
Yes.
Okay. And in the first century, Philo used that word. And he used firstborn meaning God's first creation, the heavenly Adam. Now you want to divorce the first century context, you want to divorce the first century context of the word used and its meaning.
Bear with me 1 second. Could maybe someone bring Victor over here and just get him to calm down for a minute? That'll turn into a confrontation. Could someone maybe just encourage him to come away and come and stand with us? I just don't want Victor to get
Yeah, no
he's
problem.
been assaulted in the past.
Yeah, I know.
Go on.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, you cannot divorce the words that have meaning in the first century away from the context.
Right, can I reply to that?
Go on.
Right, so, wait, no, brother,
You don't answer my questions as well. You don't answer my questions, it's so frustrating.
I listened to what you've just said, and you can't let me speak without interrupting. That's why this conversation...
You're going to go back to the passage.
Go on. There we go. You
Go on.
interrupted again.
Go on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, because I know he's going to interrupt me, I'll just speak to you. So, the passage we have agreed is saying that Christ is preeminent.
No problem.
But his argument is that he's preeminent because he's the firstborn. But this is a circular logic. If he is preeminent because he is the firstborn, then that means that we are interpreting firstborn by his preeminence. So that means that what the passage is saying when it says he is firstborn is he is preeminent. Now the reality is, when it says that he is firstborn, it is talking about his preeminence over all creation. It's using a legal term. Now the term firstborn is used in scripture many places. Israel is described as God's firstborn by adoption. Adam can be described as God's firstborn by creation. But Christ is described as God's firstborn by preeminence. Why? Why? Because when you look at the passage, it says he is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation, for by him all things were created.
No, by. It doesn't say by.
Now, ladies and gentlemen.
It doesn't say by.
Now notice he's interrupting.
No, because you're lying on the Bible. You're lying on the Bible. It shouldn't say
both
by.
in heaven and on earth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, simple question. Is time a created thing? I'd like you to answer that. Is time created?
Bob, calm down.
Answer that question.
Bob, calm down. I'm going to engage with you. I'm going to engage with you.
Answer the question.
I'm going to engage with you, and you're going to bury yourself. Do you know why?
So answer that question.
Okay. So it says in the same verse, Jesus is going to reconcile all things unto him. Do you believe Satan's going to be reconciled?
So did you see him answer the question?
No, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer it.
So I'll ask you again.
Okay. So
is time created?
Bob, let me just make my point, and then you'll understand.
Right, you make a point, but don't ask questions because I'm not interested in questions.
So why do you keep asking me questions? I can't ask you.
But because you don't answer them, and you
don't answer either.
Right, so let's just
I do
questions.
answer.
Just make a point.
Okay. So first of all, the word all in Greek is tapanta, which always and almost in every time has has contextual exceptions. Let me give you an example. Go to Luke chapter 2.
You go to Luke chapter 2.
Okay. Let me give you a few examples when all doesn't mean all. Doesn't mean all.
But the question is, does it mean in this passage?
Okay.
So, not in another passage.
So even
in this passage.
No problem. We'll see. We'll see.
By going to some other passage.
I'm saying that
no,
word
in this passage
Bob,
does it mean
Bob,
all?
listen, I'm saying contextually, tapanta always has contextual exceptions.
Does it have a contextual exception in this passage?
By the fact that he's called the firstborn, yes.
What does firstborn mean?
He is God's first creation.
No, it means in preeminence.
No, it doesn't. Because if you read in the Old Testament,
you're jumping around the passage.
So I'll explain why.
Deal with the passage.
Okay, I am. Okay, let me deal with the passage.
Stop doing the Jehovah's Witness
No.
of jumping to other passages.
Bob,
deal with the passage.
If you would genuinely engage,
bro, you haven't.
I would dissect it.
You haven't genuinely engaged at any point.
Okay,
I'm not interested in your complaints. When you genuinely engage, you'll get more out of me.
No. Very disappointed. Very disappointed, Doctor.
Marry and divorce. Baby.
La ilaha illallah.
Decreed by Allah.
La ilaha illallah.
89:27.
Liar ya don't. Liar ya Abu Lahab. Liar ya Shaitan.
Right.
Who are you? Yeah, who are you? You are calling me names. Who are you? He's daddy.
So the word
Who
panta.
gave you that name?
Let's just be clear about what the word panta means.
Top hunter.
Who gave
Right.
you that name?
Okay. So,
How do you
Listen.
come by that name?
it's top hunter, Bob.
Tell me how do you
Listen.
come by
But
that
Bob,
name?
you don't.
Listen.
You want me to
Why do you
respond, and then now you
speak
keep talking.
Right.
Let me respond.
Respond to the
Answer.
Colossians then. Go on.
So I'm not
Why
saying.
are you speaking Arabic language? Answer the question. Eh? Don't you see how foolish you are? A slave!
Hey.
A slave!
Hey, Victor.
Eh? Why do you speak Arabic language? You are forced to speak Arabic language, are you not? You
Guys,
come
we're going to
from
go
Egypt.
over that way.
Are you an Arabic person? Eh? Do you know any other language apart from Islam?
So we talked about David being made firstborn.
I'm not moving out of Colossians.
Okay, no, so listen, Bob, Scripture explains Scripture, okay? And so sometimes we've got to look at how the wider context of how Scripture uses terminology.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you're just going to try and be dogmatic, and say, you know, it says all, so it literally means all. No, why would it work like
But
that?
do you recognise that how a word is used in one context and in one passage does not necessarily mean that it is
agree,
used in the
I
same
agree.
way
But what-
in every passage?
but what I'm saying-
So this is the point. Jumping to another
No.
passage doesn't define how a word is used in another
I'm
passage.
going to exegete Colossians in
So
my way.
stop jumping to another
I'm
passage,
gonna-
deal
I'm
with
gonna
Colossians.
I'm going to exegete it in
Go
my
on.
way. Whether you accept it, fine, no problem. So in terms of Psalms 89, it says this, talking about David.
We're not talking about Psalms 89, we're talking about
Talking about
Colossians
firstborn.
1:15,
No, I'm just going to
1:16,
explain
sorry.
where when you're not the literal firstborn, how the Bible uses firstborn.
Again, we're not talking about Psalms,
No.
we're talking about
Talking
Colossians.
about the language. So listen to
Well,
my
I've got the
point.
language here. Look, I can give it to you.
Listen to my point.
Yeah, go on.
And then whether you accept
And then
it,
I'll
fine.
reply.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every time I try to make a point, you try and you shoot it down.
Every time you try to speak, you interrupt me. I keep
No,
telling you
you
when you
interrupt me
do.
at all.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, but
so
that's
my
not
point is,
complaint. I'm not the one. You're the one that's been
you
complaining.
literally
the
just
whole time.
complained.
I'm just saying you don't
You
let me
literally
make,
just
you
complained.
don't let me make my point.
That's complaining.
Yeah, but you just
But you
don't-
interrupt me continuously.
You refuse. No, you refuse to
you
answer
want to do this
questions.
time?
No, you refuse to answer
Right,
questions.
right.
But you want me to answer questions.
No. You don't answer questions, so I
do,
don't answer questions.
But I don't answer them in the way that you
Right,
want me
so
to.
make your point, bro. Stop whinging. Just
Thank
make
you.
your point.
So in Psalms 89, do you want to go there or you don't want to go there?
No, because we're talking about Colossians.
So it says this, talking about David. You shall cry to me, you are my father, my God, the rock of my salvation.
Yeah.
Also, I will make him my firstborn.
Yeah.
Make him so.
By adoption.
So,
I said that.
essentially, if somebody's not your literal firstborn, the context would be Jesus would be made firstborn. But it doesn't say that here. It says he is the firstborn. So in every other context where somebody is the firstborn,
Yep.
it literally means they are the first created in every context of the Old Testament and the New Testament, by the way. But so
Can I reply?
that's
God,
point number
yeah.
one. Point number two, Tapanta always has contextual exceptions. Even for example, with God all things are possible. God cannot lie.
Yeah.
God cannot be tempted. Do you agree God cannot be tempted?
Make
No,
your
no,
point.
Bob, do you agree that God
No,
cannot be tempted?
You don't answer my questions.
No,
you
Bob,
don't
do
get
you
to-
believe God cannot be tempted?
Right.
Simply.
Is that you finished making
No,
your
no,
point?
I'm asking you.
Make your point.
No, this one I don't like time because you don't want to answer questions.
Oh, you don't?
Do you believe Jesus was tempted?
Okay. Right, I'm
No,
going to
no.
reply now.
No, to that point.
No.
God cannot be tempted.
No, you don't
But
answer any
Jesus
of my
was
questions.
in all ways tempted as we are.
Right. So now
So
I'm
answer-
I'm gonna reply.
Okay.
So
no,
ladies
I'm going to
and
respond to this. I'm going to respond
no, right, ladies and gentlemen, he quoted another passage.
to show you how.
But the
firstborn
point is,
used
words
when you're not
sit
the
in the
literal firstborn.
context of the passage that they're in.
Okay.
And you must understand them in their actual context, not running to another passage that uses the word in a different context. And that's the game that he's playing. And he's been trying to play it throughout this entire debate. Whenever we pin him to what the word means in the context of the passage that he wants to go to, he does the Jehovah's Witness trick
Bob, don't say
of
that.
jumping to another passage
Okay, Bob.
where the same word is
Bob,
used in
dialogue
a
with me.
different context.
Bob, this is not how you dialogue
Let
with
us
people.
look at what the passage says in Colossians chapter 1, verse 16. It means this, okay? And the phonetic spelling is pas, the transliteration is pas. And what it means is this: all, the whole, every kind of. It means including all the forms of declension. That means any kind of discretion or any kind of difference. It's apparently a primary word meaning all, any, every, the whole. Its usage in the Greek New Testament is this: all, always, any, daily, ever, every, as many as, no other thing, thoroughly, whatsoever, whole, whosoever. It is all inclusive. So when it says in Colossians chapter 1 verses 16 that Christ is the one through whom all things are in heaven and on earth are created, it means everything you can think of.
Okay.
So now the question that he has avoided, let me ask him again.
Okay.
Did Christ also create time?
Okay, so Bob.
That's the question.
No.
Did you all hear
No.
it? Now let's see if he answers the question. And he won't.
No, Bob, okay. You just made a fallacy. You just said something that's not true. You said all means everything that comes to your mind. Did you say that, yes or no?
So what?
No. Is that what you're going by?
Look, it says here, translated as
Bob.
all
Bob,
things,
I'm pinning to you what you just said.
Everyone,
Bob,
to all,
Bob.
everything, any, to
Bob.
everyone, than
Bob.
all, of every, anyone,
Bob.
amongst all, for all,
Bob.
in all.
Bob.
How much clearer do you want it to be?
Okay, so you believe that means everything that can come to your mind, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so read verse 20.
Okay, let's go
Colossians
to
verse 20.
Let's go to verse 20.
Let's see if he's consistent.
Right? So, in verse 20, bear with me, I need the light. Right? And through him to reconcile all things to himself, having made peace through the blood of his cross, through him.
Okay, Bob.
Right.
Do you think the devil's going to be reconciled? Yes or no?
Right. Let me answer the question.
Because all things that come
Are
to
you
your
listening?
mind. Okay. See if he's consistent.
Are you listening?
Go on.
Listen to the how it's phrased. Right? All things to him shall be reconciled to himself, having made peace through the blood of his cross. Does Satan accept the blood of the cross? No. But all those that accept the blood of the cross are reconciled.
Listen, he said all things that come to your mind.
What
Don't
I
lie.
have said is consistent.
Bob, dialogue.
I have said that all has to be understood in
Bob,
the context of the passage that
Thank
it
you.
is used.
Thank you. Thank you.
Therefore, what you have is a distinction between the all in verse 20 and the all in verse 24, I think it was. The all in verse 20 and the all in verse 16. The problem with my friend is he just wants to play a semantic game
You're the one that's playing the semantic
of jumping around verses and trying to ignore the passage.
Bob.
He's already admitted that what we've got is a passage that says he is the firstborn in preeminence.
Yes.
And then what he's saying is, because he is firstborn, he is preeminent. But the context is saying he's preeminent over creation.
Yes.
And so it's talking about his firstborn in terms of his preeminence over creation. And it talks about through him all things are created, or in him. I'm happy with both translations.
Not by.
I am happy with.
Not by.
I'm happy with all translations.
Not by, but not by. Not by.
I'm happy with all translations.
No, not by.
Fine, you reject, but I'm happy to go
with the Greek.
I'm happy to go with in him. But the point is, if all things are created in him, that means time, and that which is outside of time does not have a beginning. Right. So He's not going to address my point. He's not going to answer my question. But that's the point that you should take away.
So Bob,
Right?
Bob, do you not want a dialogue? Seriously.
Right, so respond to my point
seriously,
then.
Bob. No, this is very poor.
Respond to my point then.
I've never debated somebody who behaves like this, seriously.
You can complain all you like.
No, this is not how to dialogue. Come on.
Bro, I'm not interested in your lectures. You interrupted me continuously. You don't engage with the points that are being made, and you don't answer the questions. So I'm not interested in any lecture that you've got to give about
No, I'm
manners.
really disappointed.
Answer the question.
Really disappointed in you.
Right, so
seriously.
raise the point.
No,
Answer the point.
Let's dialogue.
Well, try that, bro.
Don't talk to the crowd.
Try
talk to
that,
me.
because whenever I
You're
talk
being
to you,
disrespectful.
there you go. Whenever I talk
Have
to
I
you,
ever
he interrupts.
talked
That's
to
why
the
I'm
crowd?
talking to you.
Have I ever talked to the crowd?
Have I spoke without you interrupting me?
Say that again. Say that again.
So you don't listen.
No, say that again. I'm listening.
Don't listen.
Bob, I'm listening.
You don't listen, bro. So you can't complain.
Bob,
Now-
you don't listen as well.
Stop whinging. I've made a point. Address the point.
So here's my point.
Address the point.
Firstborn means the first creation, first creators.
Where does it say created here?
That's what firstborn means.
No, where does it say created here?
Firstborn means in its historical context.
Wait.
The Jews
Where
under
does it say created
Bob,
here?
I'm saying in its historical context, firstborn meant God's first creation.
No.
That's why I asked you, Bob, in the first century, let me ask you this question. Let's deal with this context.
1 second.
Let's deal with this
1
passage.
second.
No.
He's saying he's firstborn of all creation, right? But then it says that in him everything is created. How can he be both created and the thing that all things are created in? It doesn't make sense.
So Bob, go to Genesis 2:5.
No, we're sticking to Colossians.
Okay, then you'll understand why.
You go to Genesis. I'm sticking with Colossians.
So this is my point, Bob.
This is a Jehovah's Witness trick, bro.
I'm not a Jehovah's Witness.
I know you're not, but you're debating like a Jehovah's Witness.
Bob, and you're not.
Were you ever a Jehovah's? Just out of interest. Were you ever?
Not, never.
I mean, I don't know.
I was a
I'm asking.
Trinitarian.
Right.
Yeah, and I used
I believe you.
And I used to defend the Trinity.
Yeah.
I used to argue against the Jehovah's Witnesses.
I believe you.
So I know every single concept, every single reason why you believe in the Trinity. And if you're willing to dialogue, let me make one point. And if you're willing to use the same intellectual honesty that we want Muslims to use, I guarantee you, you know, you're not going to admit it in front of these cameras. But listen,
Trust me, that is not my motivation.
Bob, I will take you to a restaurant, and listen,
Happily.
we will dialogue all these pictures because I'm getting nowhere. with
When are you
Listen,
responding to what I said?
Bob, we will go through every single.
When are
passage.
you responding to what I said?
So I'm responding.
Right, go on then.
I'm telling you what this passage means.
I'm waiting.
In its
because so
historical.
far, all you're doing is lecturing me.
In its historical context.
Right,
You've been
respond to what
lecturing me
I
this
said.
whole point. But
Well,
anyway,
respond.
the point I'm trying to make is the term firstborn had a historical context. And so, when they were using firstborn in the first century, they would have understood it that Jesus was the first creator. It even says in.
No, I disagree.
Okay, well, go look at contemporary. Go look at Philo. Go read Tertullian.
No,
go read.
Tertullian agrees with me.
He doesn't.
Yes, he does. How are you? Yeah. However,
Bob, he doesn't.
He does. So
Okay, look, I'll prove you wrong.
No,
I'll prove you wrong
hold
now.
on 1 second.
No, I'll prove you wrong.
Hold on 1 second.
I'll prove you wrong.
No, coming back to
Bob,
this
you
passage.
keep lying. Listen, Bob.
You see, here I am trying to
You
talk.
should want honesty. You're
Here
lying to the
I am
camera.
trying to talk, and once again
You're
interrupting
saying
me.
Tertullian
So at
agrees
this
with
point,
you, but
what I'm
you
going to do is I'm going to stop talking to you, and I'm now going to speak to you.
Bob.
So, ladies and gentlemen.
No, all right, listen, we'll go to the restaurant. Listen,
What
carry
we
this.
saw, ladies
Bob,
and gentlemen,
Bob.
is that it says in Scripture that he is the firstborn of all creation. And my friend wants to say that firstborn here means that Christ was created. But listen to what the very next sentence says. And we'll use his translation. For in him all things were created. It doesn't say all other things. It says all things. That means that Christ cannot be one and at the same time both created and the creator of all things. He is either part of creation or he is not. Clearly, what is being spoken about in the full context of the passage is the preeminence of Christ, and we see that. Why? Look at the context of what it says, because it goes on to say that by him all things were created, both in the heavens and on the earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the concept of firstborn in the Roman world
Okay, listen,
was
Bob.
this idea
Bob, you lied on
of a
Tertullian.
legal status.
You've
Now
lied.
notice
No,
he's
he's lied on
interrupting.
Tertullian.
Now notice he's interrupting.
No, you lied on
He
Tertullian.
complains about him wanting a dialogue.
Because you're not dialoguing.
But this is how he behaves.
Okay. Would you apologise if you lied on
when
Tertullian?
it says, ladies and gentlemen,
Tell me when you're
when
ready,
it
yeah?
says, ladies and gentlemen, that Christ is the firstborn, that term is a term we understand from Roman antiquity. It's a legal term. If your child was a disobedient son, a wastrel, a child that was not worthy of inheriting all your things, a Roman citizen would just adopt another child and declare them his firstborn, meaning that that firstborn would inherit everything from the father and the wastrel son would inherit nothing. This is the sense that it is being spoken of Christ, that he is the firstborn of all creation, that he will inherit, because his humanity is created, all things, and that he is the head of the new creation that he inaugurates. There's no sense in this passage that Jesus was created. And the only way that he can try to establish that is to run to another passage where the word is used differently in a different context. Now you can reply to what I've said.
So you said Tertullian agrees with you, yeah? Okay. So this is the Catholic Encyclopedia.
Yep.
It says comments that for Tertullian, there was a time when there was no son and no sin, when God was neither father nor judge. I can get all these.
Okay.
He believed that Jesus had a beginning. So do you apologise to the camera for lying that Tertullian agrees with you? Yes or no?
So, here's the thing, right? Tertullian writes multiple books.
No, I've read it.
No,
and
listen.
he agrees
Now
with
notice
me.
he's interrupting.
He agrees with me because you're
He
lying.
asks a question, and then when I try to
Because you're not
reply,
dialoguing to me.
he interrupts
Talk to me,
completely.
Bob. Talk to
and
me.
The reason why I don't talk to him is because when I try to talk to him, he interrupts.
I'll let him talk, and then when he's finished,
Ladies
when
and
he's ready, then I'll
gentlemen,
go back.
Tertullian is an author that has wrote many, many books. And the reality is, there is a discussion by scholars what Tertullian taught. There are scholars that agree with me that Tertullian taught the Trinity.
No.
That's my opinion.
No,
there
you're
are
lying,
some
Bob.
scholars that argue differently.
You're lying, Bob.
The reality is,
This is
quoting a single sentence out of the encyclopedia, the Catholic Encyclopedia, does not settle the argument about what Tertullian believed. Peace with you.
He was always father. I've actually got it on Wikipedia.
I'm going to show you the other Proverbs 8.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter. So, what would you like to reply?
Okay, so Tertullian is 100% non-ambiguous. There was a time there was not a son. He was God's first creation.
He doesn't. I don't believe he teaches that.
Okay, so if I prove that to you, then what?
Well, even if, right, let's just do a thought experiment. Okay. Even if you prove to me that Tertullian believes something that's heretical, all that you would have established by doing
Where
that...
did he get that from?
All that, you see, you're interrupting again. All that you would have established is that Tertullian is a heretic.
But you lied then.
What you would not have proven, A, is that I lied.
You said on camera
because
that he agreed with
you're
you.
interrupting, so I'll just speak to the crowd
Yeah,
again.
speak to the camera, go
So,
on.
ladies and gentlemen,
What did you say?
if he proved that Tertullian taught something that I don't believe Tertullian taught, it would prove two things. One, I don't know Tertullian as well as I think I do. And two, that he was right about Tertullian, and the conclusion of that would be Tertullian is a heretic and he's not an authority for me on the debate. It does not prove that I lied, because to lie means you actually believe one thing and then tell a lie about it. That's the point.
No, because earlier in this debate,
right. Would you like to reply
you
to that?
agreed that Tertullian didn't agree with me.
That's what I believe. I don't believe
That he
Tertullian
did agree
agrees
with me.
I
No,
don't-
you did. You did it earlier in this debate. You did, and that's why I say now you're lying.
So what? So
Because earlier you said, okay, I do give it to you.
So-
Tertullian, but believe.
because it's a red herring. It's
So
not
then
important.
why, in front of the camera, say that Tertullian agrees with you?
Are you accusing
when
me of lying?
earlier, when earlier
Are you
in this
accusing me of
debate,
lying?
Earlier in this debate, you said, okay.
So this is about an ad hominem. Have we stopped talking about the topic?
What I'm saying, you're being disingenuous.
But the ad hominems don't win arguments. Deal with the topic.
Okay, so
all the way through this debate, all the way through this debate.
What is it I'm not dealing with? Okay, go on.
Everything.
Tell me.
Because I've laid out the passage very clearly.
Okay, go on.
Very clearly.
And I've given you my
right?
interpretation.
And you haven't. All you've done is jump to another passage.
Okay.
You've
so
never dealt
what
with
this is saying.
passage.
What this is saying.
So I'll lay out my argument again.
So I'll tell you what this is saying.
I'll lay out my argument.
Do you want me to say what this is saying?
I'll lay out my argument with you again. Clearly, the idea of the firstborn, right? The idea of the firstborn, right? And again, notice he's not listening. He's just started talking to someone else.
Yeah, because you talk to them.
Right?
So what's the point?
So, ladies and gentlemen, and this is why I've started talking.
Yeah, talk to them, and when you're ready, then call me back. Then call me back, because I'm not going to stand there like a fool while you're talking to them, and I'm standing there like a kid.
And then start talking to someone else. I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, all that he's done in this argument is complain because I've mirrored his own conduct. And because he interrupts constantly, doesn't listen to an argument, doesn't engage with an argument, and that's forced me to speak to you. This passage is talking about Christ being the firstborn. So let us understand the sense that he is the firstborn. He is the sense that he is the firstborn over all creation because he is the one in whom all things have been created. How can you say that that is not God if you are the creator of all things? And all things has to include time, which means that it doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. But also, Christ is the firstborn of a new creation because he is the firstborn of the church. He is the head of the church. Now, obviously, this is talking about rank, that he is the head of the body that is his church. And that means this is the sense that firstborn is being used. It also says that he is the firstborn of the dead. Now, Christ truly was the firstborn to be resurrected. And from that he inaugurates a new creation that he is the head of.
Right.
But was he the first person to be raised from the dead? Wasn't Lazarus raised from the dead?
Correct.
Wasn't there Old Testament people raised from the dead?
Yeah.
So clearly, it's not using firstborn chronologically.
Firstborn and
It's
firstborn
talking about firstborn in terms of importance.
Right. So
Christ was not the first to be raised from the dead. He was the first to be resurrected. But as firstborn of the dead, he was the most important.
Okay, so Bob.
Go on, you can reply.
So you're saying in this passage, it's saying that Jesus is the creator. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So go back to your Proverbs 8, that you like so much, and go to verse 27.
Right, so I'm going to reply to that comment.
Yeah, so
He was the one that took us to Proverbs 8, and now he's saying that Proverbs 8 that you like so much.
You said that he was the creator.
And the reason why he wanted to run away from Proverbs 8
didn't want to run away
is
from
because he got stuck on it.
I didn't.
Right, where would you like to go to in
Proverbs 8, verse 27.
Okay, let's go to Proverbs 8, verse 27. Would you like to make your point about Proverbs 8?
No, read it. Self-explanatory.
And okay, so you don't want to have an opportunity to comment on it?
No, you can read it, Bob.
But I'm talking about the commentary. Would you like to then comment on it?
Comment on what? No, read it and tell me what you understand.
Okay, so he's asking me to say what I think about Proverbs 28.
You said Jesus was the creator.
Right, are you listening? Because you asked for my commentary.
Okay, you said Jesus was
Proverbs
the creator.
8, verse 28. When he made...
27.
Sorry, verse 27. When he established the heavens, I was there.
Okay, stop.
When he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he asked for my commentary. Let me give it to you. As a Trinitarian, we believe that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, they all act as one. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit create together. It's not that the Father creates and the Son doesn't create,
Bob, you're not dealing
or
with
the Son creates and the Holy Spirit doesn't
You're assuming
create.
Trinity.
It is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit that create.
Bob.
And notice again, he asked me for my commentary on the passage,
So let's read it again.
Read it again. To interrupt,
Read it again. Read it
which
again.
is why I'm speaking to you.
Read it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do we understand this?
Okay, no, read it.
There are verses
slowly, read it
in the
slowly.
Bible that say the Father is the creator. There are verses in the Bible that say the Son is creator,
No,
like
wait,
Colossians
sure. No, it
chapter
doesn't.
1.
It doesn't.
And there are verses in the Bible that say the Holy Spirit is the creator,
Okay, Bob,
the giver of
Bob,
life.
Bob, again, you've
And
lied.
that we take all of these passages
you've lied
together
again.
and we believe in them together.
Show me
So
what.
what
okay,
would you like to?
One, okay,
what
so
would you like to?
It says, when he created the heavens, I was
Either
there.
use your own Bible or
Okay.
I'll hold it for you.
Okay, so verse 27, yeah?
Verse 27, stand here. Yeah, 27.
When he established the heavens, I was there.
Yes.
Who established the heavens?
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Okay. So Bob, show me one passage.
Yeah.
Show me from Colossians that says Jesus is the creator.
Yeah, sure. All right. So he wants me to show you from Colossians where Jesus is the creator.
Yeah.
Right? He is the image of the invisible God,
not
the
used
firstborn of all creation. For in him all things were created,
In him.
both in the heavens and on earth.
In him, yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if Christ, in him all things are created, is it right to call him creator?
In him.
Yes. Now let's go to John chapter 1, verse 1.
Oh, okay. Thank you. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Yeah.
In the beginning was the Word,
Okay,
and the Word was
Bob,
with
can we
God,
stop? Can we just...
and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and apart from him, nothing came into being that has come into being.
Okay, Bob.
Does that sound like Jesus is the creator?
Bob, you're never going
Yes.
to come to truth if this is how you're going to debate. So listen, I'll invite you, a meal on me.
How would you like to respond to the point?
Okay, so John 1 verse 1, yeah?
I've shown you two passages
Okay, so
where
let
Jesus
me
is the
make
creator.
my point. Let me make my point.
No, don't complain.
John 1 1,
Don't complain.
you just told me to respond.
Right, so respond.
Okay, so John 1 1,
Yep.
you understand what the Greek says, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, and you understand there's no definite article.
Yes.
Okay, so when a noun is pertaining to a person, let me just make my point. When a noun is pertaining to a person, it's either definite or indefinite, right? We agree with that. 100%, yeah?
I'm waiting for you to make your point. Go on.
Yes or no? Are you aware of that in the Greek?
I'm waiting for you to make your point.
Bob, I'm asking you a question. If you're not going to, you know what? We'll forget the cameras and we'll go and I'll buy you a meal.
What's the point you want to make, bro?
I'm asking you a question.
So make your
In the
point.
Greek, when a noun is pertaining to a person, it's either definite or indefinite. Do you know? Are you aware of that? Yes or no?
Okay, make your point.
I'm asking you yes or no.
Make your point.
Bob, I'm asking you a question. I'm not making a point. The reason why you can't answer this, because you know what? You don't want truth.
No.
You are just doing your Trinitarian script. You talk about the Muslim script.
Right.
All you're doing is going
The
over a
passage
script.
that I actually
and
went
you don't
to-
want to answer the
No,
question.
the passage that I actually
Bob.
went to was John 1 verse 3.
No, you went 1
Which
1.
No, listen, you didn't
he not-
listen.
did he not quote 1?
Did I not quote the bit where it says
Yes,
all
you did.
things were made by him?
But
and
before-
did I not say that describes him as creator?
No, through
You
him.
see, he was
Through him.
not
Through him.
listening.
Through him. Through
and
him.
listen to what the Greek says. Pantadioto egnito kai korisoto engenito. What does that mean?
Bob.
It means all things through him
Bob.
came into being, and without him came into being not even one thing. That's what the Greek means.
Bob.
So, let me ask you this. According
You know
to
how
the
Bob wins the
Bible,
debate? By not answering any questions.
did the Bible, according to the Bible, did Jesus create you?
Bob.
Answer that question.
Bob, I asked you a question, and now you're asking me a question.
Yeah, just to prove
Bob.
you're not going to answer my question.
Bob, I asked you a question.
Right.
You went to John 1.
Now I went to
One.
John 1:3.
read-
I read in context from John
Thank you. Exactly.
1.
So John 1 1
So,
comes before John 1 3, right?
3 is the
So
point.
we don't go to John 3, we go to John
Right.
1 first.
So let's just say I made a mistake. I should have gone straight to John 1:3.
No.
I've owned my mistake. Now answer the point I actually
No.
made.
So Bob,
No, answer the point I actually
you went
made.
to John 1 1.
I just said that was a mistake. I should have gone
Well,
John
well,
1:3.
I want to deal with John 1 1.
No, but I'm going to John 1:3, deal with the passage.
Bob.
All things through him came into being, and without him came
Bob.
into being not even
Bob.
one
Bob.
thing.
Bob,
So answer that question. Answer the question. Is
let's
Jesus being
do away
described as the
do away the
creator?
cameras. Because you know what?
dear.
Your pride is so much,
Bro.
that's why you're not answering questions.
Just whinging.
If
Deal with
we
the
were
point.
in a restaurant, you would answer my question.
Deal with the point.
But because you're on camera,
Deal with the point.
your pride won't allow you just to be humble. And I'm
Okay.
asking you a simple
Ad
question.
hominems don't win arguments.
so I'm
Deal with
asking-
the point.
I've asked you a question. Why didn't you answer it?
Ad hominems don't win points.
Okay.
Answer the point.
Bob, I'm asking you a question.
The reason why I do not answer your questions is because when I've asked you questions throughout this entire
Answered
debate,
every single one.
you have not answered
You don't like
a single
you don't
one.
like my answers. That's
No,
the
you
problem.
didn't.
I did.
You just ignored my question.
No, I went
and you
to another,
answered some other question.
No, I went to another
No,
passage.
because at no point did I ask you to go and give me the definition of a word.
Well,
I asked you things like, when does eternity have a beginning? What is the beginning of forever? Okay. These are the kinds of questions I asked you, and you never answered those questions.
I'm going to answer it again.
And
Okay.
so once again,
Bob, I'm going to answer. I'm going to tell you.
Once again,
Proverbs
you're
1,
avoiding the point
Proverbs,
that I've made.
First point with
The
Proverbs.
point that I've made is panta di auto engenito, kai coris auto engenito, aude genho gegonon.
So
Gegenon. Some Greek person's going to pull me up there.
Point
So
number one. Okay, Bob.
in 1:3, Christ is described that through him all things were made.
Okay, Bob.
Is it fair to describe him as the creator?
No. Okay, so
Why?
Okay, so point one, Proverbs. I did answer you.
No. Why can we not describe him as creator?
I'm going to give you.
Okay, bro, this conversation stopped being a conversation a long time ago.
Well,
right?
Because you don't like my answers.
No, because all you do is complain.
I answered you with Proverbs.
All you're doing is
answer my
complaining.
questions.
Ad hominems don't win arguments. Deal with the point that I made. John 1 verse 3.
Okay.
Christ is described as creator.
Why don't you want to deal with John 1:1? Why don't you want to deal with John 1:1?
You've said that this passage doesn't describe Christ as the creator. I would like you to explain why.
Okay, so Jesus is always seen in creation in a passive sense, not in an active sense.
Right, go on.
Yeah?
Go on.
So all the verbs used for Jesus are always in a passive sense.
Go on.
You will see very something similar in Genesis 2:5, okay, where it literally says that God did not bring about any shrubberies or trees because there was no man to till the earth. So it literally.
Again, you're jumping to a different.
No, I'm
verse.
just trying to explain. Let me
just stick with this verse.
And I'm explaining why. So
go on.
Listen, I said all the verbs used about Jesus in creation are all passive verbs, and I gave an example that Genesis chapter 2 verse 5 has the same implication.
Okay, answer this question.
So
Does the Father create through the Son?
So have I answered the question, yes or no?
No, because we're talking about John 1:3.
So he uses the word through, not by. Okay. If he was,
I'm not disputing that.
So what I'm
haven't
trying to say,
that.
if Jesus was part of the active, was part of active creation, it will use the verb like
No. Hold on.
Okay, so let me make my point.
My question to you is a simple one, and we're going to demonstrate again. You don't answer questions.
Okay, I do, but you don't.
Does the Father create through the Son?
Yes.
Right. So if the Father creates through the Son, then the Son is also the creator.
In some sense, in a passive
there
sense.
You go. In some senses.
No, listen. In
Thank
a passive,
you very much. Thank you very much.
Doesn't come from.
Thank you very much.
From the Son, it comes from the Father. That's the point.
As a Christian, as a Trinitarian, we believe this.
All right, no problem.
Right? But if the Father is creating through the Son, then all things are created through the Son.
No problem.
And therefore we can rightly say the Son is our creator.
No.
Why not?
Because it's in a passive sense. It's not in an active sense.
No, brother, that's irrelevant.
Okay, so let me give you an example.
No.
I'll explain. Let me explain.
Let me
explain why.
If I'm an architect and I design a building and you're a builder and I give you the design. 1 second. If I give
I'm going to use the Bible. Forget architect. I'm going to use the Bible.
No.
I'm going to use the Bible.
I'm going to stop talking to you now because I'm just bored of how you interrupt.
Bob, let me use the Bible.
Question.
No, I'm going to use the Bible.
If I'm an architect and I give you a design for a building and you're the building company and you build the company, who's responsible for the building? You, the architect, or the builder?
I'm going to answer it biblically.
Answer that question.
I'm going to answer it biblically. Forget about
you got one chance to answer this analogy. Answer this analogy.
Biblically.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm just bored of constantly.
Why do you want me to answer this biblically? Why do you want to go to architecture?
I want you to answer the question.
I'm using Bible to explain.
I'm an architect. And I give you the blueprint for a building. You're the builder.
I'm going to quote Jesus.
Who's responsible for the building? You or me?
I'm going to quote Jesus.
Answer my question.
Do you want me to quote Jesus?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. So Jesus says it like this: as the Father has life in Himself,
yes,
so He has granted. So He has granted the Son to have life in Himself.
Yes, correct.
So at what point did the Father grant the Son to have life?
From eternity.
How can you grant somebody to have life from it. That makes no sense.
Right, it does make sense. Because the eternal movement of the begetting of the Son is an eternal act. It doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end.
Where are you getting this from?
So when Jesus says...
I'm talking from the Bible. You're talking from your...
No, I
Trinitarian.
demonstrated in Proverbs 8 I was right. I've demonstrated from Colossians 1 that I was right.
No,
I've
Bob.
demonstrated from John 1:3 that I was right.
No.
And all you're doing is now
listen to my point.
Bro, I'm actually done. I'm
Listen to
actually
my
done
explanation.
having a conversation with you now. I'm going to stop. I'm no longer interested in continuing this conversation.
Bob, do you want to go to a
because
restaurant
at
at some
no
point?
point, yes, of course, I'm happy to have a drink with you. I'm not angry with you.
I don't drink alcohol,
It is
by the
just that I'm basically fed up of you constantly interrupting, ignoring the points that
I'm trying to
made, and not
explain it from
engaging
the
what I'm
Bible.
saying.
I'm trying to explain it from the Bible, and you don't like it.
I am. So for that reason, I'm done. I'm finished. This is now over. Okay? This conversation is over. Come back and talk to me another time. And just so you know,
I won't debate
just
you
so
on
you know,
that. If you want to talk,
if you ever want to talk to me again in this corner, I will only agree to do it with.
I would never debate you again.
Yeah, because if you can't do timed, there's no point in our discussion.
Because I want to pin you out, and I noticed in this debate, you refused to answer all my questions.
Whilst you weren't nasty or aggressive like Muslims are, you did interrupt consistently.
And you interrupt
like
as well.
Muslims do.
And it's not a problem sometimes.
And I said to you, if you kept
exchange,
interrupting me,
it happens.
what would happen. Anyway, have a lovely day.
Bless you, Bob.
Take care.
Bless you.
Right, guys, shall we do a wrap up?